Hey folks, my name's Rene Enriquez and you are watching Uncensored.
This is Rene Enriquez. Nickname Bootser. Black Hand of the Mexican Mafia. Prison gang politics.
Hey folks, my name's Rene Enriquez and you are watching Uncensored. Welcome to another humdinger. Yep, we got a humdinger for you folks, and we're going to talk about this here. This is a transcript, right, of a visit between David, Big Spider from Cataranas Galvadon, and his sister Sylvia Olivas, right? Sylvia was indicted in U.S. versus Loza et al. United States of America versus Jose Loza et al. That's cartoon, right? This is out of the cartoon case. This visit was recorded on 6/22/13 and occurred in Lancaster State Prison when Big Spider was pulled down in anticipation of testifying. Cartoon pulled down a bunch of people, right? Spider never testified. I believe that was the case. But he was in Lancaster and they recorded his visit, right? No, I am mistaken. This is a visit that occurred in Pelican Bay State Prison. And it was recorded for this purpose before the introduction of evidence in U.S. versus Loza. Had my facts mixed up, caught myself. Had I let that go out, I would have got slain on the comments, right? But look, this is unscripted, folks. A lot of people have a format where they're scripted and they're teleprompted and they go off of what they've written. I don't do that, right? I like it off the cuff because it's real, and it should be no other way. So this is a visit with Spider Galvadon, and a lot of people in the comments have asked me multiple times, over and over and over again, show us something where they're talking about you. Do you have anything where they're talking about you? Well, folks, you happen to be in luck. This is Big Spider talking about me, right? I had already testified in 3 of these trials, and they anticipated me coming to the 4th trial, which I did in the same case, this federal RICO. And Spider's going to talk about me, right? And the Spider I'm talking about is this guy right here. That's Big Spider, Mexican Mafia member from Cataranas. He's doing quite a bit. He's a very influential member of the Mesa, who's a decision-making, has a decision. The Mesa has a decision-making body for the organization, right? Kind of reduces deconfliction. Let's call it deconfliction. But there's a lot of cronyism in the Mesa, and Mesa members have a lot more territory and money than non-Mesa members in the organization, right? So Spider's a bitter old guy. He's always been that way, right? In fact, I remember one incident in Folsom, California, when he picked up his murder. He stabbed a norteño, and I think the norteño's name was Fonzie, from Sacramento, if I'm not mistaken. It could be mistaken, but I think it was Fonzie, right? Prior to that incident, Spider got called out by Bebito Alvarez. We were playing softball, and Spider missed the ball, and Bebito walked up to him and called him an idiot, an effing idiot. And Spider didn't do anything, right? Like, he dressed him down in front of all the cardenales. And I remember immediately after that, Spider was pretty upset, right? He tells me, why didn't you say anything? And I remember telling him, why didn't you say anything? He said it to you, not me, you know? But Spider was my friend. We started off as friends. He was my neighbor in Folsom, and got along well with him. I mean, we're about the same age group, and we came up together. We were friends at one time. I mean, we liked each other. We used to walk the yard together, and he was just a good brother at the time. As he grew older, he got bitter. But Spider was his courage was questioned at that point by the older brothers, Kilroy, Bebito, Shai, Nico. All the brothers, you know, were kind of left stupefied that he didn't say anything to Bebito. So somebody said that guy Fonzie was an NF member. I don't think he was an NF member at all. They said he was running with the Norteños. He was running northern NYA, and so they said, okay, he's got to go. and Spider was sent on the mission. And he was not sent on the mission because he volunteered. He was sent on the mission because it was a heart check. They wanted to see where he was coming from. And I remember I was not far away when the hit occurred. Spider stabbed the guy 3 times. The guy walked towards the 5-count gate in Folsom State Prison, dropped dead. After that, Spider handed off the knife, and I started walking with him on the track. And within 30 seconds, they walked right up to Spider, and they jacked us both up, and they told me to leave. And they said, Spider, you just slapped somebody? And right then on the radios, man down, the guy walked to the 5-count gate and dropped dead right there. Spider hit him right in the heart. To the side. He caught him this way, to the side. And he hit him 3 times. Boom, boom, boom. Everybody's wearing rain jackets that day. Those big yellow rain slickers. And Spider killed the guy. Spider got taken to trial. He was due for release in the near future. And I think that's what embittered him. He caught a life sentence over something that was minuscule. And it was all because the Cardenas were questioning his courage. And I recall that distinctly. But he is visiting with this person in the visit, right? This is an old Folsom. Spider person that gave me this picture and signed it on the bottom. That's the sister Sylvia right here. That's his sister, the one that got indicted with them, and I believe she received a sentence of 151 months and went to federal. She's currently serving time in federal prison on RICO. And she seems like a sweet old lady, but you'll hear this visit, and it's extensive. It's a 2-hour visit, so I'm going to break this up into like 2 pieces. So you're going to hear this visit, you're going to watch this visit, and you're going to see what they say about me. Let's reduce all this. And these are the transcripts. If the editor has time, she will post these transcripts so you guys can follow along. If not, then you could just hear. It's pretty clear. This is when they start talking about me. All the highlighted stuff right here. This is when they start talking about me. And then they talk about other stuff. There's a bunch of stuff in this video, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. So let's kick off this little movie now. Hope you guys enjoy it. This is the Pelican Bay visiting room here. Unbeknownst to most visitors, there are pinhole cameras placed throughout the visiting room, put there by Department of Justice, FBI, ATF, DEA. Whoever's running the case puts pinhole cameras up, right? And this was actually HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, was running this operation. And that's Spider. This is actually a converted law library, right? Law libraries are just like this. Let's advance this a little bit so we don't get so much dead time.
But anyway, I went down to...
Okay, we advance in 5 minutes. This is Spider waiting for his visitors to arrive. And people have always asked, why have a sibilant S, right? Or the speech thing. I have dip in my mouth, folks. Gotta have something to keep me awake. There they are.
jumping through the hoops. The computers went down.
Oh, the computers went down?
The computers went down, but we had already checked in. So they probably brought you before we were ready.
Oh, yeah.
And they allowed the people, instead of holding everybody back, they processed everybody manually. I have so much to tell you. Oh, gosh. Evelyn died.
Is that right?
Your ex-wife is dead.
What?
She probably an overdose, you know, because I know that I always heard rumors about her, you know, because people feel I need to know.
Yeah.
And they would tell me that she was dressing down like a guy sometimes. And she went through a lot of phases as she got older. And she, they said that she looked really bad. Someone called me. Let's see, I went down to visit, not to visit Laura, but to take Laura some money for her birthday. And I think that was Tuesday.
The Laura she's speaking of is the secretary of Lalo Martinez, Laura Hernandez. We ran some calls on her in the past. So you see how the señoras and the family members of the females, they take care of each other, right? They have support. So Sylvia would go down to the county jail and take her money, and that was also introduced as evidence in this trial because Laura Hernandez was also indicted on a state level for her part in the conspiracy in Operation Kitty Scam. That's state of California versus Eulalio Martinez, aka Lalo from Lomas et al. I think there were 12 individuals that were indicted, and Laura Hernandez was one of them. This is who she's speaking of.
But anyway, I went down to, and I got the phone call, a pastor's friend wife, that she lived with Monica. Monica lived with her for a long time. And so she called me to let me know. And of course, she thought I was going to take it real bad.
Alessandro?
I go, I said, I'm shocked. I'm shocked at the news because she was not an old woman. She was a young woman to die so young. I didn't tell her, but I'm not surprised because I kind of expected a woman to die young if she was messing up with her life and drugs, like I had heard all through the years, especially the last 10 years.
Yeah.
It's just like she went from worse to worse.
How long ago did this happen?
She died this week.
Yeah.
She
They
died
probably
now.
already told Hijo then.
Huh?
I mean, they probably already told Junior
Well, I
already.
hope so. I was wanted to call him myself, but I didn't know where they took her body. And these guys won't let you talk to anybody unless they confirm that there's really been a death. And the police, the Whittier police, they do Santa Fe Springs now and Whittier. And so they thought that her death was suspicious. Here, say hi.
Hi. How you doing? Thank you.
That is David Galvadon's brother-in-law. He has nothing to do with these conspiracies or anything. He's just a square Joe and just happens to be married into the family.
You have a good trip?
Oh, wonderful. We did real good time. The Lord really gave me the strength and energy to drive quite a bit. Sylvia drove too while I slept. Good to see you.
Yeah, you look good.
Thank you. I feel good.
You should after all that workout.
Yeah. Here she is.
Yeah, he drove most of the way. I don't know how he did it, but he did. He still looks good. He lost 10 pounds. Well, actually, it's around 12 pounds he lost. I've lost 22 altogether. Since the last time we came to visit you, I think, I don't know. But, oh, no, I had already lost 10 pounds. So I lost about an average of like 10 pounds since I saw you. So we're trying to be good. We did a little bit on the way over here because we stopped at a Foster Freeze. And they have like onion rings that are fried. And I remember them, the fried onion rings. So that's bad. So anyway, Evelyn, I had heard, through the years that she was messing up with her life, and she had all kinds of people and partying in her house. There was always raids in her house. Little David had told me that because of Ricky. The cops are always looking for Ricky, and he's just a troubled guy. Monica, my daughter, she told me that she saw a picture of Ricky on the Facebook on the computer, and that he looks like an old, worn-out man.
I wouldn't doubt it.
It doesn't surprise me either. But he's going to suffer because he was a big old mama's boy. And he always running home to mom, and she was always, helping him. And now I think he's going to suffer the most.
Yeah.
And so this lady told me that called me, she told me, her name is Tony, she told me that Evelyn was taken to the hospital, and one of her sons, I guess one of her younger sons, that's grown up now, is he took her to the hospital and he left her there. But you gotta start to think the kind of woman she is.
Well, maybe he was drugged up himself,
That's
One of the things I notice is the lack of empathy for his ex-wife. That's the mother of his kids. That's the mother of his son, David Jr., right? And they seem nonplussed. Just completely, just banter, back and forth banter, not like, oh, it's so terrible and I feel so bad. And, we have to contact my son and let him know that his mother died. They haven't even let the son know yet. She said it herself that she hadn't even let the son know yet, and it's kind of crazy. That's the mother of his child, and they haven't even let the son know yet. He's incarcerated, obviously, and David Galvadon Sr. has a younger son who tattoos on his face. He's problematic, just like his David's brother Roy, always creating grief for David. One thing about David Galvadon, his brother Roy has been caught and embroiled in all kinds of messed up politics, right? Like he's self-PC'd, he tweaked out in Victorville State Prison, USP Victorville, tweaked out. They had to extract him and take him to the hospital. He was rumored to have PC'd in San Luis Obispo or San Quentin and got stabbed. He's been stabbed. And he's like an albatross around David Galvadon's neck. But here's the thing, is that David saves him. David saves him. Knows his brother's no good, nothing but a beat-up old doping, and saves him every time. And it's a favoritism shown because he's a carnal that nobody wants to push the issue on Roy. I think at some point, and this is Spider Roy I'm talking about, Spider Roy Galvadon, David will not be able to save him, and he's going to fall by the wayside. We all know what that means. Somebody's going to say, just like they did with Pee Wee's brother, Pee Wee Aguirre's brother, both Hoppo and Little Pee Wee. Little Pee Wee ended up in protective custody, and Hoppo ended up getting whacked. I remember the one specific time it came directly from Spider when Pee Wee Aguirre's brother got jammed up. His name was Hoppo. He would get drunk and he would pop off at the mouth like a hopeless alcoholic, and he said the wrong things to these guys. And Pee Wee personally wrote me a letter to an attorney and asked for me to help his brother, and I tried. I went to David Galvadon and a couple other brothers, and I asked them, "Hey, is there any chance?" Pee Wee's asking if he can get a pass, and Spider was adamant, "No, he can't get a pass. He effed up. He's never getting a pass. I don't care who his family is." Well, that's going to come to pass with him at some point. That's going to come to fruition with his own brother, because his brother continues to mess up. I mean, he's seen as this like bad person, right, in the eyes of the mob, and everybody knows that just a matter of time with that guy. But let's continue with the visit. Thought that tidbit of information might interest you guys.
That could be very true. He didn't want to get into trouble because he knew she was messed up. And so what happened is Whittier PD came in. I guess the hospital called because they said that something suspicious was in her body, and they were investigating. And I go, they're just trying to make something out of it. That there's nothing there really. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I talked to Helen. I called Helen right away, and I said, "What? Did you hear that? Evelyn is dead?" Mm-hmm. And she said, "Oh yeah, we know. We went to the hospital, mm-hmm. and the Whittier PD doesn't let anybody go in there. We can't see her body. They're refusing to let the family in there." And Monica was already there, and her other siblings. Mm. And she said they were crying and not crying, and then they would talk and all that. But little Monica, was estranged from her mother at the time, which that happened all through her young life. Yeah. They were friends, and then they didn't communicate. They didn't know anything or talk or anything, which doesn't surprise me either. Because the way Evelyn, the way she was, she was a hard person to get along with, and I think she got worse over the years.
That sounds like it.
Yeah, and so the Whittier PD kept her secluded because their investigation, and they found things around her body, and I'm thinking, they must have went to the house to do an investigation to see what, because apparently they thought they might have been foul play. They were kind of saying, there has to be an investigation. So I said, well, they must think there's foul play, but there's no foul play. It's just her and her family. And so she's dead, David. She's dead. She's gone. So little David, I was gonna try to call him myself because he wrote to me recently, and he sounded like they haven't been communicating either. And he told me that he wrote to me to tell me he had written to me for a long time, about a year or more. and I knew he was here. And so he called to, this is another story. He wrote me to tell me that somebody came and pulled him out that claimed to be an attorney. And they actually had come to pull you out, an attorney, to question you.
Okay, let's hit the brakes right here. He's getting ready to start talking about me, right? And he'll never name me, but you'll know it's me. He's going to talk about me specifically, about how I'm used as an expert by the United States government, and say everything bad about me that he can. Which isn't shocking, it's not shocking. And somebody asked me once, does this bother you when you hear them talking bad about you? It's like, nah, it doesn't even bother me. It's just like those opinions of me that people have. I'm not trying to change them. There are opinions of me, and specifically this guy or any other mobster. It doesn't matter to me. That's the whole thing. Is once you get away from the organization, once you step away from the gang, that's it. You're free. You're free from the approval of other people, right? And you seek out the approval of other people in those gangs. You live by it, right? And nobody wants to acknowledge that, but you have to be accepted and approved by everybody, right? And when they disapprove of you, that's when you get eliminated. But I no longer have to worry about that. Like, I don't lose any sleep over what they think about me, whether I'm good, PC, rat, whatever. Call me whatever you want to call me. It doesn't do anything to me, right? And I don't, like I said, their opinions mean nothing to me. Like really, I mean, think about this in the real world. A small group of prisoners have an opinion of you, right? In the real world, real world, that doesn't mean anything. Whether you're good or bad or PC or active, doesn't mean anything. This is a tiny minority of people that believe that their opinion really matters in the world, and it doesn't, right? That doesn't really matter in the real world. And I've said it a number of times. When you pay your taxes, they don't ask if you're SMY or active. When you go pay your grocery bill, they don't care if you're okay with your hood or not. When you pump gas, they don't want to see a 128 to see your status. That is some ridiculous gang stuff that some people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s still believe in. And that's the shame in all this. That's the shame in the mentalities of some of these people. It's like arrested development. They are stuck in a time warp, like a time capsule from when they first got arrested. And the rules that they live by are those by prison, right? And prison isn't the world. It is not the world. So let's continue running this. He's going to start talking about me right now. I'll jump in periodically to break it down.
And that this attorney pulled him out by mistake.
Yeah.
And did you hear about that?
No, but I've been waiting for one to come to see me.
Well, this is what happened. I don't even know if it was really the guy that's supposed to come and see you. Because Joseph told me that everybody knows who you are in this prison. The guards, everybody knows who they were doing this Spider. Well, they said there's no way that could have been a mistake. Because there's the age difference, everything is, he doesn't look like David, Gabaldon Sr. And so, but little David said that they were questioning him, this attorney, said, well, since I have you before me, I'd like to ask you a few questions. Now that sounds suspicious to me. They asked him about Cynthia.
Oh, yeah, see.
And that this...
So let's stop. Hold the presses right there. Cynthia is one of my victims. It's a woman that was eliminated by me. One of my commitment offenses, right? And that's David Gabaldon's sister-in-law. It was actually Spider Roy's wife. And Spider Roy is this individual here. Let me show you Spider Roy. Spider Roy is this guy right here. That's the guy I was talking about earlier, the guy that continuously brings problems to his brother David Gabaldon Sr., which is Big Spider for the Mexican Mafia. This guy's always in controversy and chaos. He's always tweaking out on the meth. Like I said, he's been involved in a lot of stuff. So the victim of one of my crimes was his wife, thereby making it Spider Gabaldon's cuñada, his sister-in-law. That created quite a bit of conflict for David and I. And I knew that the feelings ran deep. Obviously, I had somebody in his family eliminated, and there was going to be some feelings there. But when she said Cynthia, that's exactly what they want to talk about in order to discredit me on the stand, right? So attorneys will go around talking to people who knew me or knew of me and try to dig up all kinds of dirt on me, right? But it was pointless because I put it all out there on the stand anyways. I mean, you could read my transcripts. I talk about everything I've ever done. And I've never denied it, never minimized it, accepted responsibility for what I did. So this is what their tactic was. It's called impeachment, right? They impeach your credibility. They impugn your credibility because they anticipate that you're going to get on the stand as an expert and deny something or not or omit something. But one of the things I learned early on was put it all on the table. If you pull your own teeth, they can't pull your teeth during cross because there's two parts of testimony. There's direct examination from the prosecutors, and then there's cross examination by the defense. And and to establish your credibility, you got to own everything you've done wrong, everything, and you just get on the stand and you admit it, right? You admit it, you admit it, you admit it, just like you do at the BPH, at the Board of Prison Hearings, when you go to a parole hearing. It's no different. So this is what the tactic was. The investigators and attorneys would go around talking to former Mexican mafia members that had beef with me or knew of me and try to dig up dirt, right? But it was pointless because I put it all on myself.
See, those are things that I wouldn't know. See, he doesn't have anything. In fact, he should have just told him, no, I ain't got nothing more to say.
He told him, he said, I don't know anything about this stuff, and he didn't, answer any questions because he said, I don't even have the answers anyway.
Yeah.
And so he told him, I'm a junior. I'm David Galadon Jr.
Yeah.
And so he wrote me because he wanted you to know.
Yeah.
And so I wrote you a letter, but I don't know if they had given it to you.
I haven't got it yet.
Well, you should have been here by now, because even if it was on a donkey, it should have been here by now.
I got your postcard.
Okay.
But the visit.
That's good. Well, I wrote a letter about telling you about what had happened. And then I thought about it, and I go, well, they're not going to let me talk about little David to his father. Well, when little David wrote me and told me that, I go, well, I'm grateful that he wrote to me and let me know about this, because now I can let David know in case, it sounds kind of suspicious. They would be asking him these questions, and that it was even an attorney.
Well, these dumbasses right here, see, they know who it's for, and they probably did that intentionally just to avoid that guy talking to me, because what we're trying to do is that idiot that was supposedly involved with Cynthia, see what he's telling.
Oh.
See,
He's talking about me right there.
he's telling on the whole world, they're utilizing him in various trials. So what we're trying to do is dispute his reliability as an informant. See, and he's doing this everywhere. They're paying him to go to different trials to testify. He's telling.
Let me stop the presses right there. I've never been paid for testimony. I've only been paid for testimony one time after my release. I was paid to testify as an expert witness. During my incarceration, I was never paid. I was never paid one time. I've testified to that, and that's the honest to God truth. But that's what they believed. I was getting all this big money from the United States government, and that's the narrative they created, right? But it's not the truth. I mean, that has been supported by every agency that I work for: United States Attorney's Office, District Attorney's Office, Riverside County District Attorney, Orange County District Attorney. I've never been paid for my testimony, not once, except after I was released. I was paid one time as an expert witness. And he's got it wrong. I wasn't an informant. I was a expert witness. That's what they think, that I was like hand over fist exchanging information for favor, and that's never what it was. An informant is an embedded individual that provides information in exchange for something, right? I guess in the inception, when you debrief, you're informing. You're telling everything you know, right? But you're not getting anything for it. Or you're getting released to the general population, or whatever reason you're going there, right? You went into PC. You have to participate in the debrief, and everybody does it, But an operative informant, I was never that.
And they're using him as an expert witness.
Wow.
Since now he's a rat, he's somehow in the Attorney General's mind, he has credence to give information as being involved in this life at one time, so therefore it's credible that what he says about us is reliable. And we're saying, no, that it's not. And we can dispute this just by the stuff that he's saying. If we can see the stuff that he's saying in trial, then we can say, no. You know, this punk right here is lying about this incident right there. Same thing with Cynthia. You know, he alleges that he was responsible for that. Well, he wasn't. You know, so we know that's a lie. Right?
That shocked me when he said that, right? Like, I don't know where he's pulled this right out of his butt, right? He pulled that right out of his butt. I was there. I called the shot, and I don't say it that glibly. I have all due respect to the family. I understand there are still surviving family members, and again, I cannot undo what I've done. You know, I can only go forth and try to dissuade people from participating in this lifestyle as a way to give back to the community. Really, that's what I do this for. But he had nothing to do with this thing. And here he is saying that he knows different, that I wasn't involved. I was convicted of that crime. And there are transcripts that support it. There's BPH transcripts. There's over 70 sets of transcripts that substantiate my responsibility for that crime. And I accept complete responsibility for what I'd done. And it wasn't justified. It was never justified at any time. I got to say that straight out right now. Even in the gang world, that the rules were broken, and I invoked this judgment on this poor woman, and she was eliminated. Nothing merited what happened. She did not merit that. And but to hear this guy say otherwise, that I wasn't involved, that's just straight poppycock right there.
Wow.
So we want to find out whether or not he admitted that when he debriefed.
I see.
Now, if he admitted that he did that, then see, he's lying.
Wow.
You know, so we can dispute that if this idiot lied about this, then everything else that he said after that is in question. You know, because they're using this punk as ever since he wrote his book. You know, he's become one of the state's profound witnesses, informants that they're utilizing and they're paying. See, that's another thing. We're saying that the reason why he's telling in the first place because he has an objective to get money.
Wow.
Yeah, he's got his stuff all twisted up. Honestly, I didn't get paid for testimony ever. The one time I got paid was after my release. I testified in the trial, and my testimony is come to a screeching halt. I've made the decision I'm not going to do that anymore. I have a couple obligations to fulfill, but that part of my life is done, right? But what he's saying is that the motivation for testifying was money, right? And that I was an informant. I was never an informant. It just wasn't, right? An informant is an individual who goes out and records people speaking and does consensual wires and is embedded in an investigation, right? Like goes and does controlled buys and then turns the dope over to the cops. Kind of like Perico. Perico was an informant. And Chuco, they were informants. I was not an informant, right? How could I, after dropping out of the Mafia, I had serving 30-something years in prison, go and buy dope or do those kind of things? I couldn't. Once I dropped out, I was no good. Nobody would talk to me anymore. So how could I be an informant? Just doesn't make sense, right? And this is where the genesis of this concept came from for the Mexican Mafia to respond to my expert witness testimony. This is where it formulated, right? Like they're going to form some kind of strategy to combat the effectiveness of my testimony. That's really what this is about. Because, let's face reality, I was highly effective on the stand. And that's just a cold, hard fact. I'm not bragging about it at all, but I can handle my own on the stand. And they start formulating this concept. Well, let's debunk what he says. Let's refute what he says, and let's counter that. And you saw in this specific trial, 3 carnales go down to testify. That's Tommy Moreno, who pretty much washed himself up. Cartoon, Tommy Moreno's T-Bug from Norwalk, who's considered no good amongst a bunch of brothers, right? Because he acknowledges the existence of the organization. I'll see if I can get those transcripts up. We'll do a whole episode on it. Then there's Jose Loza, who also testifies as an expert. Tommy Moreno qualifies as an expert. And then Jose Loza testifies on his own behalf. And Güero Smooth from the Valley testifies as well. This was their idea to come and combat my testimony. And here's the kicker, right? Here's the kicker. They did all this, and I didn't even testify in that one trial. So they damned themselves, right? Cartoon got whacked. Tommy got washed up. Little is known about Güero Smooth's testimony or his interview with the investigator. There's some dark stuff there that he may encounter problems with in the future. But the reality is they did this as a defense to my testimony, which I never testified in Cartoon's case.
You know, and it doesn't matter whether he's telling the truth. And these people here could care less whether he's telling the truth.
Exactly.
Because once they, once you go to trial, and, the jury or the judge hears this bullshit, they're not going to tell the court, these people are not going to tell the court, well, he's kind of misleading or being exaggerating, But see, that's why these investigators are coming to us. And not just me, but everybody that knows this punk. And they're saying, this guy is doing this, and he's already been numerous trials.
Wow.
Whites, Mexicans, and stuff like that. And they're utilizing him as an expert witness to give the ideology of the prison lifestyle, how these guys function and stuff like that. But this punk is nobody. He's never been about nothing.
Wow.
But yet they're portraying him like he was just one of these hell of a guys, the top of the echelon, that he just knows everything, and he doesn't. But they don't care.
Have you ever met him?
Oh, yeah, I know that punk. I know him real good.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's Monica read somewhere that he said he likes the grass on his feet.
yeah, because he's over there doing real good, real nice and stuff.
But he's still in prison.
Yeah, but he's doing good.
Yeah.
He got money, he got contact visits, and, who knows what else he got. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a coward. He was a coward when I knew him, and he's a coward now.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether he's telling the truth.
If I was a coward when he knew me, then I would have been eliminated. That's just the truth. Cowards aren't tolerated in the organization. And I understand why he's saying it. I really do. It doesn't bother me at all. But the reality is, when I was in the organization, I did my job. I performed when I needed to, and I'd done some things in the organization that nobody had ever done, right? I'm not bragging about that at all. Really, really, really not. I'm not proud of those things, right? But I get the animosity, right? I'm their enemy now. I betrayed the code. So they have to do everything they can to discredit who I am, what I'm doing for, what my motivation is. And really, it wasn't for money or drugs or anything like that. Honestly, I've been sober a long, long time, a long, long time. And to hear people say it like this guy, I'm still on dope, and that's my motivation. I get money from my dope, and that's what I do, right? So let's hear a little bit more of this. I think we're almost 40 minutes into this, and I don't want this to be too long. It just doesn't make sense to do that, because you guys got things to do too, right? You got jobs to go to. But for the long haul truckers, the warehouse workers, the stay-at-home moms, I'll make it as long as possible.
And we can prove that, because we know this punk. We know him for who he really is,
Yeah.
But, the attorney generals and the district attorneys, they utilize this punk to their advantage, and they're not telling the court or the jury the things that we know.
Yeah.
So these investigators, and it's not just one investigator, it's several lawyers that have finally gotten together as a collective to put information together that refutes what this dumbass is saying, because they know, man, this guy can't know all this stuff, and he doesn't. He's just, it's gotten to the point now that the federal government, the feds, they go to these informants, and they tell the informants, look, this is all the information we have against Billy Joe. And they're reading all this information, the rats. So now they're being rehearsed. Okay, now what can you tell us about what you just read? Well, hell.
Let's stop the presses right there. Stop the presses right there. You know what? That's prosecutorial misconduct. That's actually a crime for me to get up there and say that kind of thing, right? That's perjury, right? For me to profess to know something that I don't. And I've never perjured myself on the stand. So here's the thing, right? One of the things I took great precaution of is never read an indictment. I've never read an indictment before I testified. And not one time, right? I didn't want to know. My job was to come in there and do communications analysis. This is how twisted he's got it in his head. And those guys up there thought that I was being fed information to go testify. No, my testimony was subjective. You know, a lot of times I wasn't a precipient witness, right? In other words, I didn't see the guy pull the trigger. I didn't see the guy do the stabbing. I didn't see the drug sale go down. I came in as a communications analysis. I would listen to the communications and then ask I would be asked what my opinion was about it. That's what they're getting twisted because they have not read transcripts. They have not seen me testify. This is pure conjecture and speculation. And I'm not defending myself against it. I don't have to, right? They can believe whatever they want to believe. I know what I did. And the prosecutors that I work with, U.S. attorneys from the Southern District, U.S. attorneys from the Central District, district attorneys from 5 different counties, every agency you can think of. I work with them all, right? And not one time did a prosecutor come and give me an indictment and say, read this. Now, what do you think about that? Never once, right? I would be played a call or given a series of calls and say, what is your opinion on this call? Then I would based on my subjective experience, like this is what this call means. This is what I interpret this to be. And that was my testimony, not what he's saying. This is, again, pure poppycock.
I'm going to tell you everything that I just read.
Oh, my God.
You know, so that's what they're doing. But the jury and the judge, they're not being told about this, you know. I mean, it's not evidence that it's admissible, but this is what they're doing. You know, it's just like our letters. We even hear that they're sending these informants our letters to verify, okay, this letter David's sending it to here. What is he trying to say to this person right here? Well, these dumbasses, they can say whatever they want to say, you know, just to get some brownie points and maybe whatever else favors they're getting on the side for being an informant, you know. And that's what it's come to. You know? That's why it's so important to these people to use informants because it somehow gives credence to what they're saying because these idiots were at one time part of this lifestyle. And that in the mind of the jury, well, man, if this guy was part of this lifestyle, then it's reasonable to believe that what he's saying is true. No, it's not. It's not true.
Wow.
There's idiots that have told on me in the past that I've never met in my life. We've never been on the same prison yard. We've never been in the same place together. So how can this idiot be credible about what's happened to me and him when he doesn't even know me?
Wow.
But they utilize it.
I think what he's talking about there is the 1030 process, right? The debriefing process. And part of that process is they ask you, who do you know? What about this name and this name and this name? And they'll ask you, which Cardenales have you ever heard of? And that goes into the individual they're speaking of into their confidential file. So, say for instance, they say, well, what Mexican Mafia members do you know from your area? And the guy happens to be from Southeast LA. So, well, I know Daryl Baca and T-Bug Moreno, Pedro Baca from Artesia, T-Bug from Norwalk, Spider from Cataranas. And what do you know about them? They're Mexican Mafia members. Do you know anything that they've done? Yeah, I know they run crews. They run this yard or that yard. That's all confidential information, right? This is what he's talking about right here. And in the debriefs, they all go the same way. There's no variation. There's no variation in debriefs. They all go this way, right? They don't let certain people just say, I just want to do this. I just want to talk about this and that's all. That's not how a debrief works, right? And this is what he's talking about. People telling him from locations that he doesn't even know these people. But that still happens to me. Let's face it, as long as I'm alive or maybe after. Because even now, if you mention a Cardenal's name that's deceased, it's going to be documented. It's going to go into a file within the SSU's office and the director's office, and that gets submitted into central files and confidential information, right? So it happens, and it'll continue to happen for the rest of the time because Mexican mafia members are part of prison history. They are. That's just a fact, right? That's part of the lore and culture of incarceration is prison gangs. And as long as there's people debriefing and providing information during those debriefs about these individuals, it's going to go into their central files. That is a specific reference to what he's talking about right now.
Unbelievable.
But I bet you any money they did that intentionally. They knew that he was supposed to come and see me because
my God.
he's been coming to see quite a few
your
guys.
numbers are the different. He's got a T. Little David has a T.
But it's these people. See, that's how come I know it's these people.
Oh, my
Because they couldn't make that. The lawyers wouldn't have made this mistake because I specifically wrote to that investigator and told him through these other people that I'm the one that has the information regarding the Cynthia situation. You know, see, I know this punk. I know him for so long. You know, I know him as a man, which he's not. And all his whole life he's just been a drug addict. You know, that's what drives him. That's his. You know, where's my next fix? And that's what all this is about. You know, he gets to go to the main line and, like you said, walk in the grass, use drugs, and get money and get paid for his snitching. You know, and that's what it's become.
Unbelievable.
With that said, with me being a dope being, all that good stuff, right? And that's their concept, right? That's what they really believe, right? That's what they really believed. That I was out there getting a bunch of dope. And I was in Lancaster. That's truth. That's absolute truth. When I got to Lancaster in 2003, 2004, 2005, I think it was, 2000, 2005, I was still using. In those years, I really was using dope, right? And I was, selling dope in the prisons too. You know, I was moving quite a amount of drugs in there. That's absolutely true. But again, I've testified to this a number of times. This is nothing new. It's not a secret. Like anything anybody could say, particularly in the defense on the cross-examination, is already known. I've already testified to it. I put it all out there myself. So nobody's pulling my covers. Like he's thinking he's going to get up there and say this, and this about me. But I've already testified. I've already self-admitted that, right? So there you have it, folks. There you have it. You got what you asked for. They're talking about me, right? Here's Mexican Mafia members talking specifically about me in a visit in Pelican Bay. Again, the date is 6/22/13. It's at 11:46:02, and this is a regular Pelican Bay visit, right? In the shoe, non-contact glass. Unbeknownst to them, there's cameras and listening devices everywhere in that visiting room. And they're being recorded. Their every nuance, their every hand gesture, everything they do is being monitored and analyzed, right? And believe it or not, I analyzed these videos years ago when they first happened. That was my job, right? I was a communications analyst for a variety of different investigations, and I saw this video a long time ago, right? I had it while working on a variety of other cases as well. So that's about 45 minutes for you folks. I think that's long enough, right? I got other things to do tonight, and I hope you enjoyed this segment. We did a little bit of profile on David Galvedon. I hope you like that too, and David Galvedon's brother, and the circumstances of one of my commitment offenses, and a lengthy conversation about me that he had with his sister. Again, David Galvedon here. Spider from Cantaranas was an unindicted co-conspirator in the case of United States of America versus Jose Loza et al. The sister Sylvia was indicted and sent to prison for 151 months, federal prison. And it's all because Spider here was organizing Cantaranas, his gang, right? He was organizing a community in the neighborhood for David Galvedon, the individual you see in the white jumpsuit. That's why this went down. That's why this indictment went down. All right, folks, with that said, I'll close it out here. Hope you like this video. I know it's a humdinger for you guys. I kind of enjoyed doing it too. We'll have more. We'll complete this video in the next upcoming episode. It'll probably be in a few days. I don't like to put them back to back. We'll do something else between the here and there, but the second half will come soon. With that said, folks, I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment. As always, do what you do. Do what you do. Support the channel. Peace out.
This is Rene Enriquez. Nickname Boots.